have it in Bloomington. There's 4 sessions. There's going to be a lot of talent speakers and topics. We also will have something on real estate, data analytics, and some other topics. So I hope you can join us for that. And then December 20th, we're doing a virtual event. We're doing a tailgating between Chicago Bears and Minnesota Vikings. So the Chicago chapter and the Minnesota chapter. Lots of prizes, a little bit of trash talk, bring your own alcohol. So it's a tailgating party virtually. So we hope you'll join us for that. We do have other events coming up, and we're starting to load those out to the website. So feitwincities.com is where you'll find more information on that. And then please stay after. As you can see, we're going to have some food. We've got some beverages in the other room. So I hope you'll stay and do a little bit of networking after the event. And that is all I have. So I'm going to introduce Carol. Oh, I do want to mention Carol is the author of LinkedIn for the Savvy Executive. So all of you will get a copy of this book. So if you don't have it yet, be sure to see Carol after. And so we welcome Carol. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So before I begin my formal talk with you, I thought I might introduce myself a little bit more. My background is in marketing communications, and for 20 years before I started working with senior level executives on their personal brand on LinkedIn, I worked as a contractor for a Fortune 500 company that's local in the medical device space. And what happened after working there for 20 years was that there was an economic downturn. And the company, in response to that economic downturn, actually, hello, the company downsized. And they did that by cutting out some whole functions. And marketing communications, the area that I had worked in for 20 years, went away to an agency. And that meant since they were my only client, I was functionally out of business. So I realized my network was out of my reach. My brand, which was very well known inside that company, no one on the outside knew, because I had focused for 20 years inside that company. And so that was when I began to study LinkedIn as a subject matter so that I could create a new network for myself and create a brand that other people could read about. While I was doing that, of course, I was looking for a job, but I reached out to all the people that had hired me over those 20 years. And I said, I'm learning such good stuff about LinkedIn, and I want you to know. And they thought it was remarkable enough that they began to send their friends to me. And that was when I realized that in addition to being awesome on writing about high-tech medical devices, that I had a new subject area. And so today I want to talk to you about that. Ready? It's July 2017. My client, Joe, I've not met before, but he walks in with this enormous chip on his shoulder. LinkedIn, he said. That was why I lost the opportunity for the best job, the one that was right for me. Okay, tell me that story, Joe. And so he proceeded to tell me that he had worked for 15 years as the top executive for a trade association. And he was very good at his job. And I could tell from his passion that he absolutely was. He knew how to lobby. He knew how to form great personal relationships. He knew his subject matter. And he said, it wasn't like I didn't like my job. But along came an opportunity to interview for the same position with a much larger trade association. Oh, he said, was going to be a bigger salary. It was going to have more money for more programming. And I was going to have more influence with that organization. I wanted that job. And so he said he talked to each of the people who was in the room interviewing him. And he thought he had developed such great rapport that when the phone call came, he knew it would be just what day it was that he was going to show up and take that job. But the phone call came. Hello, Joe. This is Frank, from the association. Yes. Thank you so much for interviewing with us. Yes, we thought you were very, no, not Monday. No. Joe, we've had to go another way. Well, I'm sorry. Yes, you were a very good candidate. Well, if you need to know, Joe, it was your social media. It's true, there was nothing objectionable about your social media. The problem was, it was hardly there. Okay, no, I know you could do better, but the board has made its decision. Thank you so much and wishing you great fortune in your jobs. So that was when Joe and I began the hard discussion that he had at least 8 mistakes on his LinkedIn profile. And as I work with people over time, I've seen that many have the same mistakes. And because I work exclusively with people in the C-suite and senior level leaders, I've seen those mistakes on everybody that comes to me. I know how you guys really don't like to look not all buttoned up. So today, what I want to do is share with you some of these mistakes and how you can correct them. Is that a good plan? All right, here we go. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, if your profile is not providing ideal for you opportunities, the chances are good that you are making some mistakes because your profile is your 24/7 digital ambassador. If it's working well, opportunities should be coming away. The number one problem that I see on LinkedIn is that you are not on your profile. Now, if this mistake doesn't apply to you, any of the 8 that I'm talking about, please don't think that I'm pointing you out. But in general, this is a problem. You are missing on your profile. Now, that's not to say that you don't have a picture and you've got your job history and you've even told us where you go to school, where you went to school. But the you, the heart center, that person that shows up with passion and purpose, that person is not showing up on your LinkedIn profile. And I want you to be absolutely memorable because on LinkedIn, if you are memorable, that helps you whatever your goals are, whether you're looking for new clients, a opportunity to join a board, or if you're looking for a new job. First impressions are made on LinkedIn, and we would love for you to be memorable. So I know that every LinkedIn profile that's really memorable starts right here from your heart center. Or another way to say that is your personal brand. And these are my signature 3 questions that I'm going to share with you today, because this is the way that I start all of my one-on-one consultations with executives. The first question is, what are the 3 things you want to be known for? Now, this is a very simple to remember question, but it's not all that easy, because the first time I was asked, what are the 3 things you want to be known for? What I wanted to be known for 6 things, because I was so versatile. I wanted everybody to know the full range of my skills. But you see, 6 is not twice as good as 3. It's not half as good as 3. Okay. Because 3 is memorable, and that's why writers and teachers and speakers and orators use 3. I came, I saw, I conquered. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We remember things. But when you start wanting people to remember more than 3 things, they think you look unfocused. And when we are unfocused, we are not preferable, we are not hireable, we don't stand out as the ideal person to do business with. So the first question is, what are the 3 things you want to be known for? So the second question is, what are your differentiators? What are your superpowers? What things do people come to you for all the time? So number 2, what are your differentiators? My sweet husband is telling me I'm not talking loud enough. Okay. And our third question is, what are your key words? So keywords are nothing more than search terms that people would use to find someone just like you. It's not really pretty. So with these 3 things, we can build a really good, keywords, got keywords. Make sure when you are making a list of keywords that you're including your soft skills as well as your content. Soft skills like how you lead, how you communicate, things that you didn't learn when you went to school to become a financial officer, but they're important. Okay, if you do this exercise of answering these 3 questions, you will have powerful building blocks to put yourself back in your profile so that you are known. I'm going to share with you some of the ways that I do that as we go. But first, I'm going to give you a gift. It's the gift of time. So in in just a minute, I'm going to have you start the process of thinking about what are the 3 things you want to be known for. So Bill's going to give us 2 minutes, and I don't expect that you will be done at the end of 2 minutes, but the concept is that you would have experienced that introspection. Okay, Bill. Start.
Got a serious bunch here.
Well, it's important. And their time's gonna run out and they won't be done with their job.
Be all my fault.
Time's up. There we go. So what was your experience? Was it easy? Was it hard? And what did you think?
What did I write down?
No, what did you think about it? Was it easy or was it hard?
I think it was easy in the fact that I'm just expressing what I want to be and portray and have been doing for years.
Okay,
I think it was hard to condense it down to 3.
yes. Yes, that is
So
what
it
is
was
hard.
both.
That is what is hard. Did anybody else have that same experience?
I actually had the opposite. It was easy for me to nail down 3, but within those words or sound bites, there's a lot more that I would like to convey.
Yeah.
I know what it means to me, but I'm pretty certain it doesn't mean the same thing to you.
Okay.
Right?
It can be challenging. True confession here, the first time somebody asked me to do that, it took me 2 weeks to go from 6 things that I wanted to be known for down to 3. So it's not something that really gets done in 2 minutes, but the reason that I had you do that exercise is to give you a taste of that introspection. I want you to feel that. I want you to do that when you are at home. I want you to sit down with those 3 questions and really think about what it is that you want to be known for. What are your differentiators and what are your key words? Because all of those are important. It doesn't recognize me again. Okay. So mistake number 2 that Joe had was that there was a title that was just his job description or his job title and his company name, like this. So if you happen to be one of those people with just your job title and your company, you have accepted LinkedIn's gift of a default headline, which is a great thing. You know, it's nice that LinkedIn gives us all a headline. But LinkedIn has a different gift for you that would make you be so much more memorable. And it is the gift of 220 characters to spend right here on your headline. 220 characters is a lot of text. And I'm going to show you how I've used that with some of my clients. So this is my client, Jenna, and she had a number of jobs. And so we had to come up with a functional title for her and then add something special. So her functional title is that she was a senior operations executive and a proven turnaround leader. So in that proven turnaround leader, we stopped to get at her differentiator. And then we added the 3 things that she wants to be known for. So that's my formula, is that we're using building blocks from the example or the exercise that I gave you at the beginning. Here's my client, Mark. Mark is a strategic growth, strategic growth and customer focused executive. And the way that he brings value is through these 3 things. So here we've got primarily his 3 things he wants to count for. Many of you in the room may know Kirk Klopkins. He gave me permission and sent me with this message to you. He was sorry he couldn't be here today. He's trapped. But when, and he is now the chief financial officer at Presidio. But when I worked with him, we had to create a functional title for him. And then he has a results statement. Positive system-wide change, and the ways he wants to be known. Now, these are really kind of interesting 3 things for a CFO. He wants to be known for strategic people development, collaboration, and strategic innovation. So people development is one of those things that, for me, stands out as a differentiator, because not just every CFO would start there, but that's how Kirk wants to be seen. And this is mine. What you see here is 220 characters. I am speaking to my people that I work with, and I'm highlighting the results that they will see. The other thing that I have at the beginning is the 3 ways that I want to know. As an executive brand coach, as a speaker. Okay. I'm hearing some chuckles. You don't look like your headshot anymore. Okay. That's a problem. If you don't look like your headshot anymore, really, really, really must get it taken again. And the reason is that if you come in and your headshot and you do not match, what else about your profile is suspect? Everything is suspect. Because you've just shown that you're disingenuous right from the beginning. And we need to be congruent. Number 4, you haven't customized your banner image. So in the scheme of things, this is a lesser problem, but oh my gosh, you can do so much better than this. This, of course, is the old banner, but this is my very good client, Tony Fisher, and I've worked with him through several of his moves. Tony is the president and owner of K1 Sportswear. And in Cloquet, Minnesota, they manufacture the highest quality professional team sports uniforms just like these. Boom, Tony Fisher. You can tell what Brenda does. You can tell what Joe, not the same Joe, does. So think about how you might be able to depict your brand visually. It could be hard because these are all professions that are easier to show than working in the area of finance. But let me give you two resources. One is stocksnap.io, stocksnap.io. And the other one is Unsplash, UNSPLASH.com. Both of those are great websites for free images. And what you need to do is go back to your lists of what you want to be known for and think about, use your right and left brain to play together, because we're looking for a visual metaphor. What Unsplash? Oh, the stocksnap.com. No, .io. And unsplash.com. STOCKSNAP. Number 5. Unsplash.com. Okay, number 5. You have too little text to rank well. So the LinkedIn search algorithm has 2 drivers, and one driver is specific to the number of times the keyword that's being searched for appears on your profile. So if you have written no about section or a very tiny about section, you cannot possibly rank well on a keyword search, because a lot of people in your area will write to the margins. I want you to know what the margins are. So in your headline, we talked about that as 220 characters. In your about section, the about section has gotten bigger since last year. 2,600 characters is like 5 fat paragraphs. If you're going with 2 sentences, you are missing the boat. Now, what I want you to write in those 5 paragraphs is your heart center. Talk about your purpose, your passion, your principles, even your process. Think about how you'd like to tackle 5 paragraphs. It's just like taking an essay test. Start with what you want to say, knowing what you want to say, and then from there, say it. Okay. You can also use the 3 things you want to be known for and your differentiator. Okay, your URL is not customized. Now this is increasingly a little challenging. Have you ever been in a networking group on Zoom and everybody's putting their URL right in there, in the chat? And you're seeing all these itsy bitsy URLs, and you've got one that goes on forever with numbers and characters that you can't remember. You have to look it up before you can put it on there. Well, it's time to get that fixed. It also doesn't fit on your business card well. Have you noticed that it runs way past your address box? So it's a not neat what LinkedIn automatically decides. Here's the place where you get to change that. Look to the right of your profile, and to the right of your profile, you'll see where you get to change that, edit your profile and URL. So it's important to do that. Who has some suggestions for people who have common names? What can we do?
At city and state.
You could do city and state or city or state. Other ideas?
Add some punctuation, like period, in between or a dash.
Middle name, MBA, JD, whatever your credentials are at the end. Make sure that you are being somewhat creative, but not so creative that people go, huh? What's that? So, but LinkedIn will help you as you try. Number 7, you have missing logos. Now, this is most egregious if you own your own consulting business or your own business, or you are a C-suite member of your company, or you are president. Because in all of those cases, you have the power to make that change. It's really important that we make that change because when you have this as your current position, this no logo thing, it looks like you have a hobby instead of a business. It happens to a lot of people. They are pretty much done with the corporate world. They set up their own consulting practice. They put their name up and there's no logo. Well, the way that you get a logo to show up, not that you don't have a logo. I mean, I'm sure that people have gotten a logo designed, but the way you get it to show up on LinkedIn is you must set up a company page. It's not hard to do. It's free. It should take you 5 minutes, but people don't know how to do it. So if you look on the toolbar, all the way on the right, you'll see the work icon. And from the work icon, what we are looking for is create a company page. And it's the last entry on the dropdown. You can create a company page if you have a website, an email address that goes to that domain, and that email address has to be associated with your LinkedIn account. And you have to swear that you are an appropriate person to create this company page for this site. When you got that, it's so easy to do. What you're doing is loading up a banner, loading up your logo, you're good to go. Now, some people say, well, I would want to create a company page because then I would be saddled with twice the burden of populating it. If you post to your company page every 3 months, you're good. I happen to post there a lot more often, but you don't have to. The important thing is when you have your logo show up because of the company page, it can show up for you, it can show up for anybody that works for you, and it's powerful. Logos are part of your eminence, and the lack of a logo is like a demerit. Okay, there are some other situations in which logos don't show up and has nothing to do with the company page. One of the things is it shows up on your education section. Now, you would think that most people would know that your school will, I mean, if it was a university, it will have a logo on it. I cannot tell you how many of my colleagues who graduated from the Ohio State University have no logo on their profile page. Do you know why that is, Lenny?
No clue. I'm looking, I have mine on, so
Good.
I'm not guilty as charged.
Okay. The reason that they don't have the logo on is they didn't spell it right. The name of the school is the Ohio State University. And so you have to type the in there to find it. If you start with OHIO, well, then you've lost it right there. So, you know, use your head. Does this place have a logo? I've seen people who have Procter and Gamble way back in their history. And they're putting up a LinkedIn profile for the first time and they misspell Procter. Because there are two ways to spell Procter and they've not spelled it the Procter and Gamble way. And so the logo is not going to show up. So make sure that you're spelling correctly. Then there is one more that I'm going to tell you about, and that is when we have volunteer position. Say you're working for the as a volunteer for the YMCA at Podunk Valley, and you look and you see, well, there are all these YMCA's. There's YMCA for the city of New York. There's YMCA for the city of Minneapolis, but there's no YMCA for Podunk Valley. Here's the workaround. Post the national YMCA. Then in your description of your position, you say, I was the volunteer summer camp coordinator for the Podunk Valley YMCA. And then you've not been disingenuous, but you have a logo and people visual, because we're really visual people, the number of non-logos that show up really does matter. Now, if I were working or speaking to people that were at an entry level, this would not be the talk that I would give, but I'm talking here to people who need to have a superlative profile. If they're looking for a new job, if they're looking for a board opportunity, if they're looking for new clients, because people at the level need superlative profiles. It's forgotten me again. Okay. So this is the last major point, and it is you're not nurturing your ideal connections on LinkedIn. Now, there are a lot of ways that we can nurture on LinkedIn, and they're so efficient, so easy. So you can endorse 3 skills and then be done because you want to be able to come back and endorse 3 more skills some other time. It's a warm touch. You can send an article. It's one of my favorite things to do. I find an article that's perfectly on brand for a friend. I send it to them and I say, Mike, this article came to my attention today and it reminded me so much of you. I'm smiling. Hope you're having a terrific day. Who would feel good to know that I was thinking of them or that you were thinking of them? We can endorse people. And then finally, it's that social proof. So Michelle posts an article and I'm Michelle's friend. And so I look to see what I can do to help her get more traction. One of the things that I could do is like it. Is that going to get more traction? Not really. It does something, but it's kind of like passing in the skyways, saying hello to someone at rush hour. Not much connection. For us to give that nurturing sense, we have to say, Michelle, I love point number 3 because I have found that so true when I work with companies, blah, blah, blah. Make a point of an opportunity for Michelle and I to go back and forth, because every back and forth helps with attraction. I've added value to me. It's obvious that I read what she said. I've added value to her, and anybody who reads it will find that the conversation is valuable. So, in summary, I really, really, really want for you to be memorable on LinkedIn. That my goal. You've heard this, and then we have some time for questions. And then I have just a few slides to wrap. I think we do have at least 10 minutes, right? Okay, so who has a question of something that I didn't address? Yes.
So- Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So like in the about section, when you have 2,600 characters, and I see, yeah, you want to do well in the searches and make sure you get all your keywords and everything in there. Is it too much? Are people gonna read it? Does it seem too long, or is that a misconception?
So there are 2 primary audiences. There are 2 audiences for your LinkedIn profile. There are the people. They might think it's too long. They don't have to read it all. There are the bots, and the bots are reading every word unless you make a mistake. The mistake that you could make that would keep the bots from reading is to use a slash or a pipe without a space before it and after it. Because when you come up to a slash or a pipe without a space before and after, the bots stop reading. So especially in your headline, if you've got a bunch of things slashed together and they're all going together, they're going to read right up until the first slash, and then they're going to stop reading. So, you know, I would hope that your text is winning text, and that someone who is very interested in you would find it interesting enough to read all the way to the end. But that isn't the only point. The other part of the story is that when you write to the margins, you are naturally going to be using your keywords in context, and that's important for the search. Okay. Others?
Carol, so I've seen a lot of interesting photos on LinkedIn, you know, pictures of people's face. Talk about some of the things to avoid, some of the things to absolutely do. If you have recommendations for where we can go to get a good photo.
Okay. So number 1 to avoid is the selfie. Not a good deal. Not even really recommended that you have your friends take your picture. Make sure that you're going to a professional photographer. You guys all are making a living such that going to the photographer is not going to break your bank. My photographer is kellycom.com. Oh, Kellycom Headshots. KELICOMM headshots.com. There are lots of good photographers. You want to make sure that you are looking at their portfolio online. the best people for headshots will have a before and after gallery. And you can see the difference, and make sure that you're going to somebody who really specializes in headshots. You know, a full length portrait is going to translate very badly when you just want this much of it. You know, it's not going to do. So bad LinkedIn profile shots, we've all seen them. They have the wife's hand on the husband's shoulder and she's cut out of the picture. And they're at the wedding of, you know, somebody, and they're both dressed up. So he's looking good, but he's got this mysterious hand on his shoulder. Bad headshots are, you know, somebody takes the shot from below. So you get the double chin, you know, like the bad shots on Zoom where people have their camera below their eye level and you're getting that double chin. Not, you know. So, other questions? Yes.
Cheryl, how long would you recommend going back in your work history?
Okay. Now, you will find that the advice that I give generally is not the advice that I've followed for my own profile. So it really depends on what you want to depict. You must go back at least 15 years if you've worked for more than 15. But you don't want to break a line of work right in the middle. So you may end up going more than 50. There are some cases where there are really early opportunities where we worked at a Fortune 100 company, and we really like that on our profile. You have to put a date on it if you get that on your profile. And so, you know, maybe you put everything in between. It's whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish with what you're trying to say. I went back because I had a long stretch working for the Fortune 500 company, and I had a long stretch working for myself since then. And I wanted to make sure that people knew I did some other things. So I went all the way back. But if you are concerned about telegraphing your age, another thing that we want to be concerned about is not putting your date of graduation on your school. So if you are over 50, I would recommend that you take that off. Another thing that I do with the people that come to me who are, you know, looking for a revamp, I take the months off all of their employment, because I know that if they are not currently in transition, at some point in their career, they're going to be in transition. And once you put the months on, people start dating your in transition time from the date of exit. And it's not pretty. So just don't give them that fodder. And so I just take it off of all of their positions, and there we go. We're all old enough that we don't need to account for everyone. You know, if we were working for McDonald's and then Burger King, and we were doing it in 2-month increments, the months would be important, but they're not. So that's what I would say. Anything else? Okay, well then I'm going to wrap up. So I invite you to link with me. I am a role model for gracious interaction. If you want to know what engagement looks like. You will see that when you are connected with me. On the other hand, I really can't promise that you're gonna see everything, and that's why I send my article of the month to people via my newsletter. So if in your connection request, you would like to request being on my newsletter list, it's free and I'll be happy to add you. If you'd like to do that separately, you can go to my website, carolpenweir.com, and should be obvious how to sign up.
It forgets who I am.
All right. The book. You've all got one, but Bill has plenty more. So if you'd like to do some early Christmas shopping for your colleagues or your sons or daughters or anybody else that's important to you, we've got them and he's got a way to charge them. The book has two honors. The first is Book Authority's Best LinkedIn Books of All Time Award, and the other one is a featured selection of the C-Suite Book Club. And you are the kind of people that I work with all the time. So if you are looking for a superlative LinkedIn profile, that's what I do. If you're looking to help your business have a bigger footprint and to have each of the senior people on your staff look fabulous, I can make that happen. It's been a joy to be with you. This is my contact information. I'd love to hear from you. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you got my book. I hope that all goes well. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody, for being here. As I said, it's great to see all of you. So please join us. We're going to do some wine, some food, some networking. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.